Hey, second grade friends, it's Mrs. Herbay. The moment has come you've all been waiting for. We are going to now add some color to our leaf drawings. You should be to the point where you have outlined all of your leaves, you've outlined all of the veins, and then you've also colored in all of this negative space that you have, and you all have different amounts of negative space depending on your the way that you traced your leaves. But also go back and really look. I was challenging my friends here at school to go back and make sure that if you have any little white spaces showing that you just go back and touch those up so that it looks nice and crisp and neat. Now, here's the fun part. You can decide to add color in a number of different ways to your project. If you have markers, that's kind of the main thing that I'm going to be demonstrating for you. The markers, though, need to be water soluble, which means that they are not Sharpies, so they are not permanent markers. Because if it's a permanent marker, when we add water to it, nothing will happen. For example, Sharpie is a permanent marker, so if I would take my paintbrush and paint on this black, nothing happens because the marker is permanent, so it's not going to bleed. Now, to get, Mrs. Herbay is going to grab my example. So to get this look where we have some of the colors bleeding on the leaves, what you're going to do is you're going to take a marker, and you can really choose any color that you want. It doesn't have to be a color that's a fall leaf color. So for example, maybe I'll take, well, let's say this is kind of a cool color. Let's check this out. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and you're going to outline over top of your Sharpie black lines. So go ahead and do that. And then kind of while the marker is still not so settled in, you're going to take your brush, and then as you brush over top of that, what happens is you see that the marker is bleeding a little bit. So it's adding some additional color onto the leaf, which looks cool, without completely filling it in. All right, so that was with Crayola markers work really well for this. I'll do another one sort of with this purplish color. So again, you'll just take your marker. Actually, it's more of a blue color, but that's okay. So I'm going to take my blue, like that. And then again, I'm just going to rinse off my brush from before. I always like to have a little paper towel. And then again, I'm just going to take my brush and it's so cool to see how it's like watercolor. Now, in the event that you don't have water-soluble markers, but you have watercolor paints, I'll show you real quickly. I have a set of watercolor paints right here, and you can basically do the same thing with the watercolor paints. So, for example, let's say I wanted my leaf to be this dark orange color. So I'm just going to take my brush, I'm going to wake up the watercolor, so I'm just brush on there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trace over those lines with so there you go. So you can have it look similar to that with the marker if you have watercolor paints but you don't have markers that are water soluble. So what you're going to do is you can, and the other cool thing is you can mix colors. So for example, let's say I wanted to do one that had some brown. So I'll outline the brown, and then one that had a little bit of this orangish color. So I'm just going to draw the orange kind of next to the brown or kind of on top of it. And then same thing, I'm going to take my brush and then paint over top of that to kind of blend those together. All right, so go ahead, have fun with this. You may want to just make your leaves all different colors, like all different bright colors. Like here, I'm just gonna make, oops, this marker is kind of dry, so we'll see if it works. This has to go into the recyclable marker bin. All right, and then after I do that, then I'm just going to so Mr. Sketch does not bleed quite as much as Crayola. So you see here, but it does a little bit. You could also try while it's wet a little bit, you could, I'm coloring a little bit of orange over top of the yellow. As you're doing this, you might want to think about your colors, spreading your colors out. Like I have a bunch of orange right here, so now I might want to break this up like with another color. So go ahead, have fun with this. So just outline each leaf with the veins of each leaf with your marker, and then just go ahead and then brush over top of it with your water. One thing that you don't want to do though is keep scrubbing onto your leaves with the water, because what will happen is eventually it will disintegrate the paper and put a hole in it. So if, let's say you, let's say I want to add more color to this leaf. I think it looks cool with this sort of pinkish red color, and I want to add a little bit more later on. You can, but wait until this dries to add that color on top. So I'm going to go ahead and keep layering color on mine, and you go ahead and finish coloring yours. All right, second grade friends, I got all my leaves colored in. A couple things to note is the more water you use, the more that the colors kind of bleed and the less white you see, but sometimes that looks kind of cool. Again, if you wanted to go back and add more colors afterwards, you can, but first let your paper completely dry. And then let's say, I know over here, this leaf is really pretty dry. Let's say I wanted to add a little tiny bit of purple on here. So I'm just going to draw a little bit of purple. And then when I add some water, then the colors kind of mix together. So there I got even a little bit more color. So I hope you have fun with this, and I can't wait to see what you create.